And I was invited by Whole Foods, actually took me in. They were the first to carry my book before it was even published. And they took me around all around the nation and had me speaking because as a chef, I was able to teach people how to make these healthy foods
Mm.
easily. And by standing out in a kiosk, anybody who walked by tasted it. They're like, what is that recipe? They'd
Right.
go in and they'd wipe Whole Foods out of that product.
Right. That's healthy. Oh my gosh, that's so
Hey,
good. Totally.
exactly. So that's kind of how I got my start.
This episode of Grounded in Maine is sponsored by ESG Review. ESG Review magazine is published quarterly in February, May, August, and November, and is available for free in print and digital formats. ESG Review is devoted to environmental, social, and governance strategies, technologies, and investments. ESGreview.net is updated every Wednesday with 8 new stories and is home to feature articles, news items, and more. Visit esgreview.net to stay informed and help us spark the collaboration and awareness needed to develop sustainable economies and communities around the world.
There's a place where there's no trouble, no more pain, no more struggle.
Grounded in Maine podcast is an open conversation about how we show up for the world. I started this podcast out of a desire to learn new ways to be sustainable because the word sustainability is big. It can be overwhelming, and I just wanted to learn, different ways to try to be part of the solution and not feel like it's too late. So I'm talking to people who are doing different things and learning so much. I hope you are too.
Hi there. Thank you so much for listening to Grounded in Maine today. My name is Amy Fagan. My guest today is Diana Stobo, and we are talking health and wellness.
I love that it's broad.
Yeah. And so you can tell us all about that because you have experience and all the stuff. So Diana has written 15 books on health and wellness, and she built a hotel, a very fancy hotel.
Wellness hotel. Did you
Yeah.
look it up?
I'm sorry?
Did you look it up?
I did.
Yeah,
Yes.
oh, yeah, right.
Yes, for sure. So Diana, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I so appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And I
I'm
know
happy to be here.
you're busy after and exhausted after
Traveling to Paris.
jet
It was
setting.
my 60th birthday and I had nothing planned. And my daughter lives with me. She's gonna be 32. She's like, Mommy, make me lunch. I mean, no, she said, Mom, what can we do for your 60th? And I said, I don't know. What am I gonna do? Like, it's kind of weird for me because I don't want to do something for myself. And she goes, let's go to Paris. And I was like, okay, it's kind of like one of those, I buy, she flies.
Yeah, I have a great idea. Let's go to Paris.
Yeah. Hey, Mom, you want to pay for me to go to Paris with you? And of course I did. And it was amazing. It was actually amazing. My best friend is my daughter. She lives with me, she works with me, and she's now made me a TikTok star because she has this video of me that she sent to her friends on Snapchat that was literally me walking down the street in Miami with one of my flip-flops that had broken
Oh,
I'm wearing these, like, I love torn jeans. I love dressing like, I always say vagabond chic. And I'm walking up and she's driving the car looking for me. And I'm on the phone and I look at her. And anyway, everybody on TikTok was like, oh my God, let's give her a GoFundMe. She looks homeless. Is that your mom? Oh my God, is she on the streets? Is she drugged out? Is she? And my daughter goes, I just posted it for fun. And next thing you know, I got 4 million views. She's, you're TikTok famous, mom. I go, yeah, as a drug addicted, street person, but that's okay. So when we go to Parrot, now I'm her, like,
where are
now
you
I'm her dog.
comfortable?
No, they're like, your mom looks so chill. I'm like, yeah, I'm walking around the street, Miami with no shoes on. But now she, like, gets up in the morning and she says, okay, come here, perform. I'm like her, performance monkey. She tells me what to do. And I'm like, okay, okay. But I secretly love it
Right?
to have your daughter, like, play with you.
Think you're
It's-
cool.
Oh, yeah, she thinks I'm cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Very cool. So I feel like we should start with what talking about your books. I mean, you have several books, but I know that you said that you have a story because these books did not just like you didn't just pull them out of your head.
Yeah,
Came from experience.
it came from a very tough time in my life. I had, well, first of all, I had a hard time having children. I had ectopic pregnancies and nobody could explain why. And so I almost died on the table, like my tubes burst and that was right. And I really wanted to have children. I got married at 24 and I really wanted to have children. And so I went through 4 years of pure like hell, gynecological hell. And so I finally did in vitro fertilization during that time. Now, remember, like, because I'm 60, 20, that was a long time ago. We didn't know anything about good food. I mean, we really didn't. I mean, I came off the era of TV dinners and,
Mm-hmm.
anything that was easy and packaged when the boom of packaged foods became so cool that you were actually considered really cool if you smoked cigarettes and ate TV dinners, right? That's my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so she just kind of fed us what was there. So it's not that I didn't have desire, because I definitely went through periods of time when I milked my own almonds, and I really did in my teenage years. Tried to eat, bran and plums and all that, but basically that was the general makeup of my body. So now add a whole bunch of hormones into my system, and I blew up over 100 pounds with these medications. And what I didn't realize is what these medications, these hormones were actually doing to my body internally, not just to have the baby. So anyway, I ended up having twins, and then and then I went back for more because just what is it, a martyr? I don't know what I am. And anyway, I had a lovely little boy. So so I had 3 children, but I had 8 pregnancies altogether,
Mm.
and only two actual to fruition. So after that, I had a myriad of problems. I mean, I had gastrointestinal issues, probably from the hormones. I had bursitis. I had, you name it, I had all these problems. And, little by little, oh, my thyroid went down. So they gave me, Lavoxyl, and I had Via, whatever it was, all these medications now that are banned because they cause cancer and kill people. But I was taking them because I didn't know.
Right.
And it wasn't until I was in my late 30s that I woke up in the middle of the night and my kids were sleeping. My husband was traveling, so he wasn't even around most of the time. And I started vomiting up blood. And so I called my friends. I said, somebody come watch my kids, and called the ambulance and went to the hospital. And they just gave me morphine and didn't have anything to explain what was going on as I was, you know,
Right.
projectiling. And then finally the guy came in, he goes, yeah, we think we figured out what it is. And then they shot me up with morphine. And all I could think of is at that moment, I'm going to die. Like I'm laying there and I'm like seeing heavens and stuff
Right.
because the morphine, I don't take drugs. It was really tough on me. And I'm like, this is not the way I'm going to go out. And all I could think of was get me home to my children. So it turns out I had a bleeding ulcer,
Mm.
right? Go to so you have to go check yourself. So anyway, I get home. I'll never forget trying to take my kids to school the next day because life goes on, right? What are you
Right,
going to do? You
right.
can't
Yeah.
stop life.
You got 3
And
kids.
I had such a morphine hangover. I couldn't even walk. I couldn't feed my children. It was just awful. So they said, go to the doctor and, let's get a scan. So they scanned me and they said, you are raw tissue from the esophagus down.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, down where?
Oof.
Like all the way in and all the way out, you are raw. I'm like, well, what do you do? And they said they gave me something called Prilosec, which is
Mhm.
now you can get it at Costco by the, pack, because half of the, I would say 80% of the people are on it.
That's like acid reflux, right?
Acid reflux thing. Yeah. So people are living on pills and not finding the root of the problem. So it just so happened that my sister, who got diagnosed with a cancerous tumor, a giant tumor of the size of a grapefruit in her uterus. It wasn't malignant. It was benign, but it was huge. It was causing her a lot of pain. And she went on this body ecology diet, which was neutralizing a lot of the acidity in her body. And then she went to go get the surgery 2 weeks later. And when they opened her up, it was only the size of a walnut.
Well,
So she's like, you have to go, you have to read this book. So I started reading and I just kind of immersed myself. And I was many years before I was pre-med, and I was so
oh,
interested in how the body works. And life took me this way and that way. And next thing you know, here you are, right? Everything you do in life, whether you mean to or not, brings you to this moment. You can actually track it. You can
mm,
actually say, how did I get here? And you can track it and go, oh, that explains why I did that. That explains how that happened. I understand what I did there. And that's what I felt at that moment. I'm like, this is where I'm supposed to be right now. So I looked at everything and I formulated from all these different books that I set in front of me: no dairy, no wheat, no sugar, no meat, no caffeine, and no alcohol. And it was about knowing the no's, knowing the things that actually cause your body inflammation.
mhm.
And I just took them out of my diet and lost 10 pounds in 10 days without even, like, that's all I did, is just took them out. And then I realized, what do you eat? Like,
Right.
because I was suffering for 10, and
That's
I'm a
right. Yeah.
chef. I'm a chef, a chocolatier, professional baker. This is my background, right? So I'm like, what do I eat if there's no bread and there's no milk and there's no hamburger and whatever? So I started formulating books, how to, strip away the foods that weigh you down. And
Mhm.
that's where my book, Get Naked Fast, was written. And I was invited by Whole Foods, actually took me in. They were the first to carry my book before it was even published. And they took me around all around the nation and had me speaking, because as a chef, I was able to teach people how to make these healthy foods
Mm.
easily. And by standing out in a kiosk, anybody who walked by tasted it. They're like, what is that recipe? They'd
Right.
go in and they'd wipe Whole Foods out of that product.
Right. That's healthy. Oh my gosh, that's so
Hey,
good. Totally.
exactly. So that's kind of how I got my start. And then, of course, I dove deeper into all the metaphysical. And then here I am. That's how I wrote my books.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
But I started
amazing.
coaching people
Yeah.
also, because I knew, I lost 100 pounds. I ended up going raw vegan for like 3 years, but then I found out that my body didn't like being raw vegan. So I had to shift, and then I got a divorce, and then I went through menopause, and you name it. I have been beaten.
Right.
I've been beaten good though.
Right. It's just it's so, up until we hit these big moments in our health, we trust that the doctors are, that they have our best interest at heart, right? And you're just like you're taking pills like candy.
They
Just
don't know. I mean, that's the thing is, and everybody knows this now. I would say everybody. We come from, my parents worshipped their doctor as a god. Oh, my doctor said, my doctor
right,
told me.
right. Yep.
And I did too, until I realized that my doctor was slowly killing me. And not purposely.
Right.
Their job is to sell the pharmaceuticals that are supposed to fix it.
Mhm.
And the sales rep tells them it's going to fix it. And they don't know how to fix it because they only took a half a semester of nutrition.
Right.
So they don't know. And so it's a cycle. It just happens. And next thing you know, they're like, oh, that pill doesn't work. So let's give you another one and see if we can combat the effects of that pill.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, you're covered in pills. You're toxic as hell. And then suddenly you have cancer.
Right.
Bam. It's, and it's gotten to a machine. It's gotten to such a machine that sadly, a lot of doctors do know now. They're very aware of what they're doing. But some just, they went into the healthcare industry to help people. That's a fact.
Right. But then the things that are coming up are not things that they studied because they're new and because the all all the chemicals and conveniences and stuff are causing different illnesses that they weren't educated on. Like,
Exactly. Exactly. It goes deeper than that, but that is quite true.
mhm.
That is quite true. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big open wound that's about to be um exposed in the world right now. And I think
It's-
that, yeah, people know, but you were even saying that you live in an area where people don't know,
mhm.
and it's an education process. And so we only know what we know. And since there's a big chunk of a handful of people who do know, it's getting bigger.
Right.
It's now 2 handfuls, and then eventually it'll be a community, and eventually it'll be knowledge. But right now it's a growing there's a growing emphasis on taking care of our health, preventative health, and figuring out how to eat properly, and then finding the food that is actually healthy and good for you. Because even the foods that we're eating have been tainted from the soils, from the environment. You know, you were saying earlier when we talked about learning how to garden, like, yeah, at the retreat Costa Rica, we have our own garden. I know where our vegetables come from. I know what we feed it. I know what rainfall hits it, you know, it's southern exposure. And I'm very cognizant that, in fact, people come there and after just a week, they're like, oh my God, I think I've lost so much weight because my pants are loose. And I always say, give me a text when you get home and you weigh yourself. I want to know how much you lost. And every time they're like not even a pound. It's inflammation. They
Mhm.
literally decrease the size of their body by releasing the toxicity out
Right.
of the system. Yeah.
Right. And I'm just starting to learn about cortisol too, like cortisol in the
Yes.
weight gain area.
Well, you're at you're are you menopausal?
A little bit.
Are you perimenopausal or are you menopausal?
That is a trick question. I have no clue.
Are you bleeding?
Yep.
Then
Sometimes.
you're perimenopausal, which almost is worse. It's like getting hit with it's
Yeah.
like getting batarammed
Right.
with something you've never felt before. And you're like, what is happening to me?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a regular anything. Like I haven't had a period since 2023, but like, every couple weeks or so.
Like you're like dry heaving. You're like,
I know. Sorry, y'all. This is a lot of information.
no, but I
Get
mean,
to
it's
learn more
real.
about Amy than ever.
But it's real and everybody
It's
goes
real.
through it.
Yep.
But nobody used to talk about it.
Yep.
And it's funny, when I did the in vitro to have my babies, they literally, I said, what's the side effect of doing all these drugs?
Right.
You know, and I love my babies. They were, I mean, sadly, they were worth it. And of course, if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be here today talking about it, right? But they said you're going to have a really gnarly menopause. And I was like, I don't even know what menopause is. I'm 24 years old. Like, who cares?
Right.
You know, I had no idea what that would actually amount to.
For sure.
But boy, in my early 40s,
We had no idea what we were in for.
no. And I went through about 10 years of it. And I think that's part of the reason I ended up getting divorced is I didn't know what was happening to me. He didn't know what was happening to me.
Same.
Yeah, and we were like foreign, creatures trying to figure it out. I was trying to figure it out. He was like, I didn't sign up for this. He's like, I want out.
This isn't who I married.
It's exactly what he said. He goes, you changed. I'm like, yeah, it's been like the 27 years. I do change a little. Yeah, this isn't who I married. Exactly. Can't you just stay the same? Like, well, talk to my hormones because apparently I can't.
Okay. I did not have a say in this.
I did not have a say in it. Exactly. So that was hard. That was really hard. And I didn't know what it was. And there was days when I felt like I was going through puberty again. It's literally like a reverse puberty. The emotions, the mood swings. Boy, I wouldn't
Yeah.
wish it on anybody, but hey, you're all gonna get it if you're girls.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you probably don't even know. You're going through it. You probably don't even know what to expect, do you?
I am learning a lot from podcasts and Instagram.
But yeah,
Stupidly.
Instagram is like the smartest, channel.
But yeah, I have a podcaster friend who's a menopause coach. So
But it hits everybody differently. That is the truth. But here's something you might like this. And this is
I
like
am
I said,
sure I will.
I'm just being honest because I'm 60 and like I've been through you name something and I can relate to it. That's how much shit I've been through. And I don't talk about it all because how some people get fixated on a chunk of their past and it kind of like starts to define them.
Mhm.
Like I even got cancer and people are like, "Oh, how's your cancer?" I'm like, "It's not mine. It was just passing through. I cured it. I got rid of it. It's like done."
Yeah.
It you don't hold on to things. People sometimes they get cancer and then they're like, oh, my cancer. And then they carry it like this badge of honor, like I'm sick and I'm going to hold on to that. And then they stay sick the rest of their life. Even I was talking to one of my healers today and she said there was a guy who got misdiagnosed and they said he had 6 months to live.
Oh gosh.
He didn't, well, it wasn't misdiagnosed. He got somebody else's diagnosis. He died literally 6 months to the day because
No,
he
because
had
of
nothing,
his head.
because he told himself he had 6 months to live. And there's this other question I love and says, why is it that humans can't grow a limb? Like if they cut off their limb, why can't they grow a limb back? Do you know why?
Because we obsess about the fact that we're missing a limb. No.
No, it's close. That was good. I was like, that was a good answer. That's actually a really good answer. No,
That'd be me.
because we don't believe we can.
Hmm.
So, I mean, there are people who've literally grown back, ears that were cut. There's things that we can do that we just don't believe that we can. Anyway, that was not where I was going with this. I was telling you a story about the menopause, but you know what? We will remember that soon enough. But oh, I know what it is. The good story is that there's this long history of women, and before the patriarchy came in and kind of, told us how things are going to be and who we are. And basically, my dad said, when you get menopause, you're going to dry up. And he said, and no one's going to want you. And he also said, I mean, my dad, bless his heart, he is such a, um,
Thanks.
you can always tell a woman's age by her arms. Like he just was so like, ugh, like I was like, this sounds awful. But the truth is, before men created this story that we are now undesirable, I call it the emerging goddess syndrome, because in history, it shows that a woman hits menopause and she goes closer to heaven. She becomes closer to the spirit world. She becomes more godlike because her wisdom of carrying a child, uh, holding the wisdom of life in their body and nurturing people
Right.
becomes part of their they become closer to God. They become angelic. And that's why they say when you're 50, you don't care what people think anymore. You've suffered, you've gone through the whole motions. Well, I didn't hit for 50, but around 58, I stopped caring about what people thought of me. What do you think of me? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm loving this very much. I'm waiting for the chance when I don't care what people think of me. That's for sure.
Well, it's coming. It's coming. And it's you're still bleeding. You're still spitting stuff out. You gotta stop spitting it.
Well, again, not my choice.
But that's what you can expect. So how do we carry? And this is, by the way, I think there's 4 stages of life, right? The beginning of life when you're born, and actually it's in utero, and you start to gain the knowledge. It's in fact when you're carrying a baby, they hear what's going on, they absorb all the energy, they know exactly what's happening. So it brings them into the world with already that knowledge and that information. And up until 7 years old, basically everything that they need to know about the world, they've already gained, which is really interesting. 7 years old.
That is
And
interesting.
then from 7 until I think it's like their early 20s is about learning. It's about gaining information and actually connecting to the world, how to read, how to write, how to know your geography, know where you are in the world. And then, I'm sure I'm ruining the numbers, but it's around that. And then there's that 20 something till about 48, 50. And that's where you start putting yourself out there and earning and building and having a home and having a family and procreating and gathering things, and not just things, but information, still information, right? And then you get to your 4th stage of life and now you have it all. It's time to be peaceful, calm, enjoy the wisdom, enjoy the fruits of your labor, relax, be with your family, let go. The problem is people today, don't ever make enough money to let go. Most people don't. They're still working at this age. But women don't want to lose their youth, because for the past, century, we've been told we dry up, and our man is going to go find another woman,
Younger.
younger, leave us, younger, hotter, whatever, and she's going to go through it too. But he'll just dump her and get another one, as long as he made enough money and can. And actually, I don't even think that matters anymore. I think the way the world is now, it's just about hopping from person to person. So the woman doesn't want to lose her youth. She doesn't want to go through menopause. She can't relax in her wisdom. She's like, shit, I got to get Botox. I got to fix my hair. I've got to do these things because I got to still be hot for the man. Otherwise, he's going to go find somebody else. And that's the struggle. And that's where menopause becomes a really painful transition. So like at the retreat, we have a menopause package. And part of it is, I can't cure your hormones. Your hormones are going to do what they're going to do. But we can guide you into this self-love and this self-realization that you are actually emerging into a goddess. And you can let go of all that pain and suffering and old story and judgment and all that, and start going, I am now on the other side. I am closer to God. I am closer to the heavens. And I have more to offer as a sentient being than, a woman who needs to have children and wash the dishes.
Needs to be something to be valuable. Yeah.
That was a very poor version of a very elegant story, but you got the idea, and that's where the suffering of menopause is. I'm not going to lie. I had a hard time letting go of, my youth, especially since my boyfriend's 14 years younger than me. I mean, it's like, but I didn't, but the funny thing is,
but you don't look like you're 14 years old.
but I did. I look younger today than I did 4 years ago. And I think what was happening for me is I was caught in the story. I was really down on myself. I didn't like what was happening to my body. And I kind of changed my mind, and my body followed. I mean, I still wouldn't want to be, in a bikini in daylight, but in the dark, I'm a supermodel. But the point is that I've learned to accept that I'm not going to be 25 years old again. And
I'm better than that.
I'm better than that. And I don't need to attract a man based on that. If he doesn't like me for my mind, for my wisdom, for my softness, for what I've done in this life, my children, then I really don't want to be part of it, honestly.
Right. And that's that point where you're just like, I don't care. I don't care what people think. Like if I'm not good enough for you, then that's the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know that you've recently gone through.
Yes.
And it's hard. It really makes you lose your confidence. And you have to grow it back, somehow you have to, like, because that it's shaking. Was it me? Was there something wrong with me? Was I not good enough? And the truth is, no, had nothing to do with you at all. But that's it's hard to accept that sometimes.
It's true.
It actually has to do with their insecurities and their issues, and the fact that they don't even know how to love. And maybe I look back and I go, was I ever actually loved during that marriage? Or was I just being used, to take care of the babies, and to take care of life, and to take care of the things that he couldn't take care of? I don't know. But I do question that quite a bit.
Yep. Same.
And by the way, this is all about health.
This is all health. This is
all health. This is emotional health, mental health. And we talked about physical health. It's all related,
Right.
Was that a doozy? Sorry. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I know I did. Sorry.
It's okay. It's I almost.
Let's talk about my forever Christmas tree.
Let's talk about your forever Christmas tree, Diana. It is beautiful.
I bought this house a year and a half ago, and has very high ceilings in this room, very high, like 20 feet or something. And my daughter, my 32-year-old daughter who lives with me, she goes, I want a Christmas tree. I'm like, what are we gonna do? Get a 7-foot Christmas tree? It's gonna look like a postage stamp in here. Swear to God, I went to Costco that day. I'm like, let's just go see whatever they have. They had a 15-foot plastic Christmas tree. 15 foot. Have you ever seen? I'm sorry.
I've never
It
seen
was
something
like,
that
and
big.
there was only one, and it came in 3 boxes. So we had to go back 3 times because it didn't fit in our car.
I believe that.
So my boyfriend puts it together, and this is what it looks like. And we were
And
like,
it was too much work to put it together. It's just staying there.
oh, it was so much work to put it together. Then I had to go buy bags to take it down and store it. And I'm like, where are we going to store it? There's no other room this big in this house.
It looks beautiful though.
So my daughter said, you know what? We're keeping it up. And she goes, I love Christmas and it's cozy and it looks great in this room. And I'm like, all right, it's our forever Christmas tree.
There.
And I have to admit, I do love it. I have some gnomes too.
I mean, if nothing else, it's a great conversation starter.
There's no ornaments on it. So it's an evergreen lit up tree.
It just lives there.
It just lives there.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. See, change the subject. It worked.
Give Amy a second to gather herself back up.
Come on, you can do it.
Okay, so you wanted to talk you've written books about like gastrointestinal health, that type of thing. So what can people do in situations like that? Like, is the best thing to find a book? Is it to this is one of those things, like I keep hearing people say, don't do the WebMD because you're going to put symptoms in, they're going to say crazy things and you're going to think you're dying.
Here's
But
the important thing. Okay, I'm gonna break it down. People are gonna be like, "What? I don't think she's right." I'm right. I know I'm right because I've done the research because that's what I do. My girlfriends always call me Diana Says. They're like, why are you doing that? What are you? Because Diana Says. Diana Says. I have been called Diana Says for the last 30 years. And guess what? I have healed more than 3,000 people, more than that, with chronic conditions
right.
based on my intuitive health, my intuition, my medical background, and the research that I do. And I have a very I'm very good at discerning by reading people and the way they move and the way they hold themselves on what ails them and what they need. And I follow through because I use my own body as a petri dish. We have to use our bodies as a petri dish. You have to trial and error. Otherwise, you don't know what works for you. And what works for me is not going to work for you. And so people just get told what to do. And then, like you said, you go to WebMD, and you become self-diagnosed and self-doctored, and then it doesn't work. And then you're like, what do I do now? And you go to a doctor and he tells you maybe the same thing WebMD did, because that's all they do.
Or they'll run some tests and be like, you're fine.
Yeah. So every single thing that ails you, down to a cavity, is related to an unconscious emotion.
Oh gosh.
Every single thing. How do you like that?
Every ailment is connected to an emotion?
Every single thing is connected to an emotion.
Gosh.
So there's a great book called The Emotion Code. And it kind of highlights, how it works. All right. There's so many books. There's so many books about this. And that's where you want to start looking. Cancer is caused by parasites. Cancer is caused by parasites that grow. Think about, let's just imagine there's a bunch of worms, right? And then they start to
grab on.
They create this mass of toxicity, right? That can grow and spread. That's why they say don't do biopsies, because you're literally breaking the mass and spreading it. So there's, yes. And now, but if you go back to emotions, why does it settle in your thyroid? Why does it settle in your stomach? Why does it settle in your blood? That's the emotion. Because wherever energy is stuck, if energy is not flowing, then it gets stuck, right? And then that creates a mass. It's the same thing with, I tell people, because I coach a lot of people for weight loss. Or I used to coach a lot of people. Now I don't. But think about it as far as your lymphatic system goes. Your lymphatic system you know what your lymphatic system is, right? It's completely covered all over your body. It's like this, you can't see it, kind of weaving of fluids.
Mhm.
So what happens when your lymphatic system gets stuck?
It's moving.
Yeah,
And,
this is where you get
collect.
fat, cellulite. So that's when matter turns to mass because it's not flowing. But when you start,
That's such a good term, when matter turns to mass.
yeah, but if you start to
Diana.
flow and stretch, that's why that fascia blaster and all these gua shas that people are using, all of a sudden people are like, wow, my legs look great again. They're not chunky, because you're pushing the matter. You're moving the matter around and creating flow. That's why I believe very strongly in moving your body in gentle ways, not heavy exercise, but like somatic work, where you're literally stretching and really opening up the fascia and making a pathway for matter to move. My sister used to say to me, you know, she's a wise one. She's not smart, but she's smart. But she's wise. And she said, you know, I get in better shape by stretching. And what she didn't realize is she's doing somatic work. I get better shape from stretching than I do going to the gym or running.
Mm.
I think it's true because you're actually allowing your body to flow. That's why have you ever seen a big dancer? Dancers are flowing. That's literally, well, maybe there are some big, I don't know. I'm sure there are. But they're allowing the energy to flow through them. Nothing gets stuck.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Diana says.
Like all the things that, yeah, Diana says.
Diana says that's all that matters.
All these things that they totally make sense when hearing you say it, but they're not things that I've heard before.
Because it doesn't fit into the mold. It's really about us going, well, that's not what we were told. That's not what my doctor says. That's not what science says. Well,
But
I
Diana
study
says,
quantum physics, not, medical. And
right.
quantum physics is all about energy.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And we've seen that the things that can happen with energy is unbelievable. I think that's what's going to happen during this time period for maybe in the next 10, 20, 30 years. I think that's what we're going to see during this ascension, that how energy really does affect everything. I think that's something that's been repressed,
Mm-hmm. I believe.
and once we're all going to, maybe the crystal generation's going to wake up and go, everything's energy, and we're all going to be peaceful and kind to each other. I hope.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
Mm.
I talked your ear off. I'm really sorry. You got me.
I'm not
I
mad.
like you. You got good energy.
I'm not mad.
Flow.
You can talk forever. Keep in my ear. Okay, and so you have, I think that's amazing that you have at your hotel a menopause package. But what else do you offer there? I know you said you've got the garden, so you've got healthy food and you've got a menopause package.
So we used to call our program immersive wellness, and it was about just kind of experiencing the retreat, all it has. And so I just changed the name to the retreat experience because we have become so popular. Immersive wellness, I don't know, things are evolving in the wellness industry that are not being told. I mean, I'm not even talking about biohacking and all that, even though we do all that. It's beyond green juice and yoga. And that was the beginning. Everybody started
Right.
off with yoga. That was the thing. And then it was the green juice because that came with the raw food movement. And then anybody can call themselves a wellness hotel if they serve green juice and have a yoga class. And we're so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
That is so actually I'm building 10 more rooms in this whole new wellness center. And while I'm doing that, it's about redefining wellness. It's about, if you want to go sit on a crystal mountain and lounge and have a cocktail hand muddled from the garden and enjoy the view and absorb the negative ions of nature,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe get a massage and then have a beautiful dinner, then that's your version of wellness. And I'm going to make sure that you have what you want. So before we had packet, we still do. We still have this, gluten-free, all the things that people think that they need,
Right.
the gluten-free, the farm to table, no dairy, no wheat, no sugar, no meat, no, we serve caffeine because we're a coffee plantation, and we serve alcohol. but as I add on, I'm doing 2 more restaurants, and that's going to be part of redefining wellness. And this is really exciting because I had one woman who came, one person was doing the Ayurvedic package, which was intensive Ayurveda with all the massages and the diet. One girl was on the Naked Challenge, which is our signature detox. And that was just, 7 to 10 days of juicing and then having all her treatments. And then one lady sat at the bar hanging out with the bartender all day, and they were sharing a room. It was really cute. And the girl at the bar would say, she goes, "This is wellness for me." And she goes, she wasn't drinking all day. She sat at the bar, talking to the bartender, looking at the view, enjoying the swim, eating dinner while her friends were sleeping with her, doing their detoxes. And I said, people don't all have the same idea of what wellness is for them.
Right.
And then over the course of the last 10 years that we've been open, or 9 years we've been open, I've noticed in the last year and a half that people are just showing up for the sensation of the retreat experience, being in nature, seeing the animals walk
For
around,
the slowdown.
the garden.
Yeah.
And I said, let's not push so much hard on the packages. People have gone through their detox phases, their green juice phases, their I got to do yoga 5 times a day phase. They've gone through all that. What is next? And what do they want? And they just want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
They just the whole like vibe is, I want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
We always say welcome home when they show up, and we have a 73% return rate.
I love that.
People just come because it's like, this is my home away from home, and I just love it. So that didn't really explain, but food and yoga and classes and we have top spa in the Americas, award winning, which is amazing, huge menu of really great treatments. We do an emotional healing package. We do a sleep vacation that really pays attention to how you can slow down and sleep. The menopause, the Ayurveda, the detox. We do a sensual
Wow.
package for people, either couples or single people who want to explore their sensuality. Yeah. So
Awesome.
we have a lot of different ways to, to define wellness.
Right. And I
Because
love that
everyone
you
has it.
allow people to express what feels good for them. Like
Yeah.
it's you can choose a package, that's great, but if none of that, speaks to you, if talking to the bartender is like therapy for you and it just feels good, then it's your money, do it.
Well, it's funny because a lot of people will say, listen, I really want to do this, but do you guys serve alcohol? I'm like, sure. We don't push it, but it's here, and we make really good cocktails. Because some people want to just be healthy all day and then have their cocktail. And that's fine. Because what I've learned, emotions again, if you're not happy during your healing, then you're not going to heal.
Right. You're
So if that
blocking it.
makes you happy, then that's the way it's supposed to go.
I love that. It's so, I mean, I can't say it's so true because I don't have that, but I get that. That makes sense for sure.
What don't you have?
Oh, I don't drink, so it's not like something that, but I mean, my thing is food. But yeah. I mean, if it's something that you need and it makes you feel good, it will help you to heal.
But
That
it's no
makes sense.
different. It's no different than food.
Yeah,
So
I'm
this
sure.
is the thing, because again, people grab for it because it's a comfort.
Yep.
Sure, it ignites a little spirit in it, but so does a freaking chocolate mousse. I mean, I don't know about you, but I just was in Paris and I took a bite of chocolate mousse and I was like euphoric. So
Right?
yeah, everybody has their thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Bread brings me comfort. I love bread and butter. Could live on just a baguette with
Good
French
bread,
butter.
good butter. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. That sounds amazing. It really, really does. I went on my first time on a cruise ship was amazing. I mean, I love, so I used to work as a scheduler, and so every minute of every day was planned. And so I love being on a cruise ship because you can do everything or you can do nothing.
Yeah,
And so I did a few days of everything, and then the last day of the cruise ship, I read a book and I watched the new Muppet movie.
I love it.
I was in heaven. It was so
I
great.
love that.
But that's
That's
needed to calm down.
it's almost as if you give yourself permission to just
Yeah. Because in life you don't get that. You know, the routines are for real.
we do get that. I think that's part of what's going to be shifting in the new era. You know, every 7,000 years we go through a new era. It's I think we were in Rahu and now we're entering a new phase. This is why there's so much turmoil on the planet right now.
Mm.
And the new era is going to be this, like what they call it, the age of Aquarius,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we're all feeling it. And some of us are going to not make it because the changes, you have to kind of start to flow with the new way of being, the energetic way of being, peaceful, kind, all that stuff is where we're going. And the age of Pisces, which I hate to say because I'm a Pisces, so it sounds like we're really bad people, was tumultuous and war and anger and that's behind us now. That's going to be behind us. And those who can't shift the mind from the dogmatic approach to life into the new age, they're not going to make it.
Mm. Okay.
And that's just it's a spiritual fact, but we'll see. We'll see
Right.
how it all turns out.
Is there a time frame on that? Like when that 7,000?
We're in it. We're actually in it right now. We're in the transition.
Oh, so we're
Yeah,
like
we're in
right
the we've been in the transition since 2020.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes, doesn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, and you can see the good, the bad, and the ugly that has come out from it all. You can see the true nature of people. And that's what's really interesting is because, you know, depending on where your mindset is, you're going to have a different version of who's crazy, who's gone nuts,
Right.
but it doesn't really matter because either side, either way you think, if you're in that anger, pointing fingers thing,
Right.
you're part of the problem and you probably won't make it.
Mhm.
So in the end, the people that actually will make it are the ones who put that behind them, trust in the shift and follow it.
Ooh,
And
wow.
not worry about this nitty gritty and think that they can control things. That's what we've been trying to do for so long is control things. And control is an illusion. It's been an illusion for, you know, all of our lives. So, you're at your age and my age, we know we've tried to control so many things and to no avail. We have not won.
Yeah.
No, we've only made ourselves unhappy by trying to control something that is uncontrollable.
Right.
And now you get to see, like, I can't control it. So I'm just going to flow with it.
Mhm.
And when you start to get into that mindset of, I'm going to flow with wherever the universe takes me. And by the way, I don't mean that to be a lazy thing. I mean,
Right.
sometimes,
Of course.
sometimes the universe creates opportunity and you better grab onto that and make it happen, you
Right.
know?
For sure.
But sometimes the universe shuts the door on things that you think you need or think you want. And you're like, oh, okay. Don't fight it. Just go, okay, well, that's not obviously meant for me. It's really interesting. I mean, I'm, I don't know if I'm ascending or if I'm just 60 or if I'm talking out of my rear end here, but, but I feel it. I do. I feel it. I feel
Yeah.
the change. I feel the shift. It started last year for me. Personally, it started last year for me.
Wow.
And yeah, and it's like this is all part of like it's happening in this. You can do astrology, you can do, you know, the planet, you can do whatever, however you want to look at it. It's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't stop it. So what are you going to do? You're going to fight it or you're going to go with it?
Yeah. It's a hard shift when you're used to trying to control things to just being like,
Well, it's a really hard shift. Let's even talk about what's happening in the world right now. Our minds, we can talk about the doctors. Let's do that. The people that are still alive, who are older than you and I, still believe that their doctors have their best interests at heart, still believe that their doctors are gods.
Mhm.
If you tell them otherwise, do you think they're going to be okay with that?
Right.
They're going to go kicking and screaming and tell you you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be pretty. So how are they going to make it to that next level if they can't even accept that basic idea?
Right.
That's what's happening.
Mhm.
Things that we've been told, things that we believed, our education system, everything that we've been, it's right here and we're stuck and we're fixed. And this is like, I'm holding on to this. And all of a sudden, all these other stories are coming in and everybody's like, yeah, they're all liars. They're stupid. Like, well, what if this is what's happening in the change? And then if you open up your mind, you can ascend to the other side. But if you're not going to, these are the people who aren't going to make it.
You're digging your heels in. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I can give you a lot of examples of that, but I think you got it.
Wow.
I think you got it.
Can you rattle off the names of all your books? Or a few, just so that we can.
Well, Get Naked Fast was my bestseller. And then Naked Bliss, and then oh God, they're all food ones. And then, there was the 4-day detox. They're all food ones. But then I was also in Master Gardeners, and I had orchards on my land. And so I've been a chapter in several books. You know what? Shame on me. I am literally in about 8 books that did not write. I have a chapter. I don't know the name. I think I have them somewhere in my library in San Diego. I don't really put a lot of credit on things I do. I just look to,
Okay. I mean, I can put them, I'll look them up and I'll put them in the show notes. I can
okay.
go and do that.
Yeah.
Because I think that this is really good information. I think, your lived experience has so much value because I mean, like
Go to Diana, put in your thing, dianastobo.com. They're all listed on there.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
all, but I think a lot of them are.
Okay.
I haven't seen that website in probably 10 years. I haven't attended to it much.
You've been busy.
I've been busy.
Yeah. But I feel like, I know, and this is a new understanding for me, that doctors do have our best interest at heart. They just don't have the knowledge that they need to actually do the care part. And they're stuck in the system so bad that they can't,
Well,
their hands are tied with a lot of things. That's how I feel about it anyway.
if I may interject, I think the majority do. But there's this is interesting. There's no money in being an honest doctor. There's no money in really caring. So if you're driven to help people, then you have a good doctor. But if you're driven to make money, as a doctor should,
Mm-hmm.
then I guarantee that they are not,
Yeah.
they don't have your best interest at heart. They have
Yeah.
their best interest in heart. They want to know how the insurance is going to pay, what doctor is going to give them a kickback on the meds that they're offering. That's what they're doing. And that's a sad thing. I mean, the doctors don't get paid unless they do the surgery. So they're never going to say you don't need surgery. So
Right. Yes.
the doctor that says, go home, you're fine, they have my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
Come back in 6 months. Let's look at it again. But right now, I don't think you need to do anything.
Okay.
People go, they're like, he told me not to do anything. It's like, well, maybe you don't need to do anything. Maybe you need to get your head straight.
Maybe it's your emotions.
Maybe it's your emotions.
Right. Oh my goodness.
You're so smart.
I'm getting there. Diana, this has been amazing. I'm like, you're so smart, and you're also very entertaining and relatable, and I appreciate that so much. And I'm thrilled to get to hang out with you. But I also want to be very mindful of your time. But so what does the word sustainability mean to you? Like personally?
Personally,
Yeah.
the first thing that comes to mind is no effort. And when I say that, meaning that if it's built in nature, then it will sustain itself. And there should be no effort.
I love that. Yeah, like let it happen because it's nature will do it. Yeah, that's super smart. And then you said, your website is dianastobo.com, and that's where basically everything is. So
Yeah, I mean the retreatcostarica.com as well, but I think my books are there, and I think they're all ebooks at this point. I think we stopped publishing them like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever 2020 hit. I only have about 20,000 copies left, and they all go down to my hotel because they sell like hotcakes.
I bet.
Physical
Yeah, they're like
copies.
they experienced it for a short period and they're like, I
Exactly.
need more of this.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's super smart.
Right.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. This has been so wonderful. And I've said this before, but there are like so many times when I'm like, I have an idea how the conversation is going to go, and then it doesn't go anything like that at all. And I'm just like, that's amazing. Like, I don't want it to be exactly how I plan, but I also, there's only so much I can control. But
Well, thank you for letting me riff because I was having a lot of fun and you just have a really welcoming energy. And I love that. I really do. I know I talk too much, but I was definitely in the mood for it. It was that big salad I ate before I got on this call.
I'm here for it, girl. Awesome. Thank you so much. Diana Stobo, you guys. Check her out, find her, read her books, feel better.
I like that. Feel better.
I just want to take a second to thank my guest again for speaking with me and sharing such great information. I love having these conversations with folks. I also want to thank Buzzsprout for hosting the podcast, for Jane Bolduck and her music genius, for Becca Coffron and her award-winning artwork. And thank you for listening. I appreciate that so much. Please check out the show notes for any links and extra information. And if you would like to follow my guest and find out more about them, I'm sure they would love the follow. And if you don't mind leaving a rating or review wherever you're listening, and just help to get this podcast in front of new eyes, that would be amazing. I would really love that. And feel free to reach out to me on the socials and let me know what you're thinking. And if you would like to be a guest on the podcast, please let me know that. I would love to have a conversation with you about sustainability. All right. Thank you again. I hope you have a great rest of the week.
There'll come a day, my mama told me, when I find love to have and hold me, a heart that's strong and so sincere. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? Oh, tell me, how do I get there from here? 'Cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. We'll find a way to soothe the sickness. We'll heal the hate with sweet forgiveness. Wages of war will disappear. Just tell me, how do I get there from here? I wonder, how do I get there from here? Yeah, 'cause here and now I'm so far down that mercy's bound to find me. When that state of grace has finally found me, well, there'll be music, ooh, and good friends around me, yeah. And I'll just smile through happy tears and wonder,